The role of education in promoting respect of Indigenous people's rights is not only a vital part of implementing Indigenous people's rights, but I think also it's a necessity. Among many reasons into why education is vital is the example of colonization. I think that it's very, very important to know the Indigenous people's story of colonization. If you are to understand why so many of their rights have been violated and also are continuing to be violated. I think an important example here is cultural assimilation. A lot of the colonial states did use colonial assimilation in order to change Indigenous people's societies into the Western ways of thinking, ways of making the whole societies. And doing that, a lot of very important Indigenous people's rights has been violated. We can look at even education as an example there. And I think that without education about Indigenous people's rights, I think it's very, very difficult to implement them and also respect their rights. And we also have to remember that information is power and information is empowerment. And without knowing our rights, we can't use them, we can't require them, and we can't teach other people about it. For this reason, I don't think that Indigenous people's rights and also education can be separated. And I also think that with regards to non-Indigenous peoples, I think it's the same, because I believe that education is as necessary as for Indigenous peoples. The story and the cultures of Indigenous peoples needs to be understood if they are to be respected. In regards to my vision of culturally appropriate education, my vision is that any education is adapted to the culture of the learner. Education simply don't work if we don't take into account how people learn. There are different ways of learning among different cultures. This is something that has been neglected for hundreds of years, and we have lost so many Indigenous people in the educational system, or have even failed to learn to give Indigenous people a chance of having a higher education, or even as basic as knowing their rights. I think not only in the past, but also now, many Indigenous peoples fail or drop out of education because of the socio-cultural mismatch between their ways of learning and the Western environments. I think we do still see a very strong mismatch between the Western way of educating people and how Indigenous peoples learn on the basis of their culture. I would like to give you an example, a very well-known example that even exists today in Greenland and has existed for years. If you take a small Inuit child who doesn't say much, maybe in the Western eyes, this child would be regarded as the silent or the shy child who doesn't say much in class. This student is normally not regarded as an A student in the educational system. The learning environment requires the child to be loud and be good at, hello, I'm here, I have the answer. But this child from home does not act very individualistically. This child is not thinking about him or herself all the time, but this child has a collective culture where it is valued that everyone should have a place in this collective group, for example, as in a classroom or in the family or in the society. And with this example, I would like to ask you this question. On whose terms is this teaching being done? For the indigenous child, or for the sake of the Western educational system? I wish you good luck with your classes and keep on fighting.